Okay, so Tiana, I've already given the women your credentials, your background, and I've set the room up for you. So let's just get down to it because we only have 12 minutes. But before we do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everyone. Just so excited to be in the space with you. Sorry it's not live, but I'm just honored and grateful that you are giving me the opportunity to be with you this evening.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you. So, listen, every woman in this room has had a moment where something inside her has shifted and she cannot unsee what she's seen. She cannot unknow what she already knows, right? And this is what I call this threshold moment. This sort of precedes the moment she starts to remember who she was. And I know your story. We've talked about it a little bit, and you've had those moments. I want you to take us to yours, right? Your moment. And not just what changed around you, but what changed in you.
Thank you for this question, Marjorie. There was a moment in my career where I saw how, quote unquote, having a seat at the table required just this ridiculous amount of gameplay. I saw how my leadership team would take on actions which were ridiculous just to appease those above them. And in that moment, my spirit was clear that this was no longer the path for me. I always dreamed, oh, I'm going to be the chief such and such and such. But that was no longer the case. Now, that didn't mean I didn't remain progressive on those ladders across industries, but I remained cautious of the proximity to the table, depending on the leaders in the room. And it was that realization that my corporate identity was a success that felt like a cage. I had climbed the ladder perfectly, but the ladder, unfortunately, was leaning on someone else's building. That led me to retire at 46. But it took me over a year to actually get free of all that I allowed the system to build up inside of me. That shift happened when I realized the cage actually wasn't the job or the title. Let me be clear. It was the invisible survival system that I had perfected, that relentless need to perform and decorate my life with achievements so no one would question my right to be in the room. I was still living inside a blueprint I didn't design. My spirit started to literally cringe. I could no longer stay intentional on what God had me to build. Why? Because I was so focused everywhere else. God saw his truth being ignored, and I had to move. I had to shift. And I shifted from being a tenant in my career to being a tenant in my business. That wasn't the shift that I was looking for, not at all. So to ensure that I was truly the architect of my life, I had to stop focusing on the shiny new ideas, because that had me what I call horizontal acceleration. I was doing this, and this, thinking that it would have an impact, because if I can do it, oh my gosh, I am fabulous. And when I stopped that and was able to actually ground myself and focus on the one thing God had directed me to build, man, oh man, he showed up and showed out and showed me that focus of digging deep, man, in the one, actually allowed for me to find the shiny new innovations within that thing and strengthen it. So I dug deep to build tall, which has allowed me to do what I now call vertical acceleration, because of the intentional focus and the shift of no longer replicating what I thought success looked like in those spaces. I hope that answered your question.
That you said it. You said it. And that one quote you made about being a tenant in your career instead of in your life, like so many of us are doing that.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So my next question to you is, you know, for a woman who has not yet
Mhm.
identified her own blueprint, right?
Ooh.
Where does it live in her right now? When she has not identified, where is it within her?
Oh, this one, this one is a journey all in itself. If I might say that. I know we say journey for everything, but it's real. Um, Once I figured it out for me, I call it actually the golden thread. Once I figured it out for me, I was able to actually call it my yarn and wire. Here's why. The blueprint that I believe lives in us has is twofold. One, that yarn, which is that deep-seated beliefs and the values that we learned from the people who raised us, the communities that we were in. It's that it's soft, it's pliable, it is just completely embedded in us. And then the wire side, that's the more technical, the skills, the expertise that we forged in this world. All of it is buried under what I call an inheritance of no rest. So the reason we can't see it is because we keep going. Work, school. We keep doing that. We don't actually pause to reflect on what it is that's uniquely us that comes to the table. So for many women that I work with, it's hard to see because they're still wearing the identity that belongs to someone else. They're operating inside an invisible architecture of survival. So to locate what's actually yours, you have to release the armor. You got to let it go. That armor that protected you in one season but has begun to suffocate you in this one. You have to dismantle the cage, bar by invisible bar that is in your mind, your body, and soul. Let them shoulders lower. Breathe. And only when you create that breathing room can you receive what is truly yours, what is truly been set aside for you. You have to let go because that's when the actual blueprint can actually start to be formed. You have to look beyond the title. So many of us have been, are still connected to the title. And you have to be clear of what brings you energy. Here's the thing, we are all gifted. We can all build, we can all produce, we can have blueprint after blueprint, but is it actually yours? Because we are amazing at all the things that we're good at, but think about the things that you're good at today. How many of those things actually give you energy compared to how many of those things actually deplete you? You have to excavate that golden thread, that thing that keeps you going through and through, and that has been done through your career and your life that makes you uniquely you. But we can't see it if those bars are still up. That part.
Listen. Yes, you're absolutely it is there. It's already there within us, and you're absolutely right. And we can't see it. I think in one of the last gatherings, one of the ladies said that, there's so much distraction and noise and conditioning and programming and all of these things, and it just distorts all of that, and we can't find that within ourselves. So we
That part.
have to be able to excavate within us to be able to find that blueprint inside. Now, here's where the rubber meets the road, right? Once she locates that blueprint,
Mhm.
right? And this is what you're good at. This is what you do. What is that first strategic move that she makes that she could not have made before finding that blueprint? Because I think a lot of times with women, we're so quick to get into the doing instead of being. But once we know how to be, now we can move. Tell us about that.
Here's the biggest thing. To do, there's a different ceiling that exists for both. And building what it is that you know, if you just focus on what it is that you know, right? Basically, I call that you rearranging the furniture in your current experiences. But you know you're in a place if you're optimizing your obligations rather than your personal impact. A woman building something the world has never seen before. This new place that she's in is operating from a place of sovereignty. She now has ownership over her time, her energy, her definition of what a life well lived actually looks like. She is clear on what it is to fix a problem and restore humanity. And the only things that she can do now from that place are three things. And for me, that is, you got to do a math of truth audit. I'm back to the blueprint of how you move forward. Here's your math of truth. Once you're clear on that unique genius and what are those things that actually drain you, now be clear on that math. How much do you actually need per month to live this life that you want? That I call your freedom number. Once you have that freedom number, then we can really start talking about how you productize your clarity. Stop selling your labor for hours. We quick on that. Oh, I'm going to charge this per hour. No, nobody is trying to hire you to do tasks. They're hiring you for your genius. So we got to start selling that unique design, your IP, what you are uniquely good at. And then we got to set up the fortress, because guess what? Once you start shifting and people like, oh, who this? And oh, this is my IP. This is who I am. Guess what? The attacks are going to come. We know that the attacks of the devil are real. So you got to create a strategy. Be prepared. Protect your capacity. Know exactly how many hours you're willing to work and claim the path and own it. You don't got to put up with the noise anymore. This is yours. Let's protect it. But you don't have to protect it alone. That's what I want everyone to be clear of. So in this building of new, your uniqueness, make sure you know your math. You make sure you understand your IP, what you uniquely bring to the table, and ensure you know how to protect yourself from not going back to the ways of old.
Yes, listen, I'm here. Know your value, y'all. Okay? Know your value, know your capacity, and protect your energy. Right?
All of it.
Love that. Love that. So, listen, what is your prompt for the women? Because we're going to be engaging in this over the next couple of minutes. What would you like to have the women think about?
Absolutely. Ladies, if you remove the armor of your titles and the survival system that have kept you safe, I'm not saying these things are bad, but they've now suffocated you. If you remove these things, what is the one problem in this world that only you are uniquely qualified to solve? Name it.
That's a juicy one. That is a juicy one, and I love it. Tiana, thank you so much for your time. You guys will see more of Tiana in the future in this community for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy.